chapter 5, verse 13 and 14. The word says, "Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge. And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it." Who are you going to be able to teach this to? Who are you going to be able to bring this, the captivity? When there is the knowledge, when you lack knowledge, when you lack these things, you become a captive person. When Jesus said, "I want you free," and He tells that clearly. I want that truth. What is truth? Word. Only way that word, it's got to be in the heart. When it gets into the heart, it will come forward. Then you got to become a doer of that truth. When you recognize, hey, that's me. I'm not good at that. I'm going to have to fix this. But are people today captive? In Isaiah's time, that's what God was telling him. My people are captive because they lack knowledge. Because they cannot get this understanding, they've become a captive people. Why? It's exactly what we explained. Just like it is, that newborn baby, when it don't get that knowledge and get that understanding in there, the enemy gets the upper hand, and he creates and pulls them back into a place that they're hurt, depressed, miserable, down. What do you call that? Captive. Life is freedom. To have life and life more abundantly is freedom. And that's where He wants to take us to. These are the things that He wants to bring us to, but the only way we're going to get that is recognizing this is what happened in the past. Well, I can't do nothing about the past. All I can do is fix the future. And a lot of times people will sit under some scriptures, just like we read this one. You may have heard this 50 times, and you may say, I've heard that one. But you need to start getting it down inside and really getting it in, and don't just breeze by it saying, I've heard that. Because if we had the knowledge and understanding that we're supposed to have, we should be having life more abundantly, or God's a liar. And He's not a liar. We should be seeing our churches enjoying the powers of God. We should be seeing our people enjoying the fruits of the Spirit every day of their life. Not just during a service that we have a shout-down service that lasts for 2 hours, and then we say, well, that's life, and then come Monday, we're already miserable and down. That is not the life that He wants you to have it 24/7. But the only way you're going to get it is you've got to get out of that captivity state that the enemy is lying to us. It's a captive state because the heart is deceivable above all things. That we begin to think these things because of what we see or what we hear, etc. With the enemy's input, he pulls us into a captive state that we feel there's no way that this can happen. There's no way that this cancer patient here who's down on a morphine pump and they're down, the doctor said 2 days, it's over. Or like we said, all you got to do right now is go to a doctor visit and they say, I felt a lump on your shoulder. You won't sleep for weeks till you find out what that is. That's captive. That's captive. Or you find out that one of your kids, they may end up having diabetes. Their sugar was a little high. We're going to have to run a test, but it's going to be 3 weeks before we get to run it. And the longest 3 weeks you've ever been through in your life. Because you're captive with that. When if you had the knowledge of God in your heart, you could be speaking that out and having an intimate relationship with God. And understanding and getting that and staying stable no matter what comes at us. We can stay stable with God. Many of you are asking for answers. Well, read James. He says that we ain't going to understand His way. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. My ways are different than your ways. You're not going to understand it. So if you want it, He said, well, come and ask it. But you can't ask it like in a wave, like an ocean. You can't be up and down. You got to be stable. Well, how's the only way we're going to be stable? If we have that knowledge and understanding in our heart. It's deep in the heart. And it's in there that we trust God no matter what, and we hold on to that knowledge. That's the only way that you're going to be able to have a stable life. Then you can enjoy. Like we talked about the Wednesday night. How important is love? How important is it to have it? Well, when you look at the fruits of the Spirit, like we explained Wednesday night, love is the first one listed. Why? Because if you ain't got love, and He's trying to get us to perfected love, how can you have fullness of joy? You can't. You can't be full of joy if you don't love everything and everybody. Because if you run up on that person that you don't like, you going to tell me you're full of joy? Or there's a situation going on that you can't go on with perfected love, that you're going to be full of joy? Absolutely not. Or peace? You're going to be fullness of peace without love? Absolutely not. You cannot be. You may have it every now and then, but you won't stay full of it. And He's trying to get us to that place that we have that. But the only way you're going to get it is with that knowledge that this enemy has more of than you have. And he's using it against you to attack you exactly where God said He was going to attack you at, in your heart. He's going to come after your heart with everything in him to deceive you and bring you down and captivate you and put you in a captive state to where you want to pull back, that you're so depressed that you don't want to live. That's where he wants to take you to. That nobody loves you, nobody cares for you, I'm all alone, God hates me, everybody hates me, period. And that's a lie from the end of the world. And there may be some people out there that does. But what's the answer back to them? You're to love them. But that's where the enemy takes us, because we don't have that knowledge, that understanding secured in the place that he said it should be written in on our fleshly heart. It should be written in there so deep that there is nothing can bring it out. And then guess what? That's why he sent us the Holy Ghost. So it can bring it back to remembrance when we need it. So we don't have to always have a Bible to go flipping. It'll come right back to you. And you'll know when a situation comes, oh, I know what to do here. The instruction guide to everything in life's in this book right here. But we'll get confused about what to do in situations and things because we don't have all these pieces glued together. We don't have all these parts glued together, so therefore, guess what? We become captive is exactly just like it was in Isaiah's time. It repeats itself over and over and over if you read the Bible. Man continues to fail. Women continue to fail. People continue to fail simply because they lack knowledge. And you look at that. And where did he attack at? If you go back and look, he attacks the heart. He attacks the hearts where he attacks at. That's exactly where he goes. Mind warfare, and that's the gateway to the heart. And without understanding how to use your weapon, without understanding how God works, without having the understanding of the mysteries, we become captive and get upset. Well, what's wrong with, I'll pick on Brian now. What's wrong with Brian? He got my seat. I ain't talking to him 3 months. Take my toys and go home. And then if Brian has got knowledge, he'll sit there and say, Shane just needs to grow up. Lord, help him grow up. And I'm the one that needs knowledge. Some people are not going to grow up. They're not. They're not. And here's why. Isaiah 28, verse 9. I told Lisa to go through 12, but I'll read verse 9. And the rest of it, of course, I'll kind of tell you. We've spoke this several times. But why won't we? Well, Isaiah 28, verse 9, it said, Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make it understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. And then he says, For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with the stammering lips and another tongue we shall speak to this people, to whom he said, This is the rest wherewith ye may